Trust me when I say this, you could not make this shit up. Wow. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. Wow. Honestly, wow. I just don't have a clue where to begin. Obviously, we have witnessed West Ham draw. Well, it feels like a loss, let's be honest, against Bournemouth, but we can park that for 1 second because at the same time we were playing the game, the transfer window was ongoing and we had two potential outgoings happening. And it's first and foremost, it's ridiculous that we're at this situation that we're in. And we shouldn't even be remotely where we are. However, let me explain to you what has just happened over the last few minutes. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that everything was signed between West Ham and Lyon, but the transfer could not be completed at midnight because West Ham had forgotten to enter specific information into a system like a CRM system. It's like FIFA's transfer software system or something like that. And those oversights have caused the deal planned to fall and completely fail. Wow. However, as you can see from the title, it says Benrahma to Lyon deal is off, or is it? Well, apparently Lyon are planning to appeal to FIFA over the circumstances. Obviously, Benrahma and his family will be utterly devastated at the situation, considering we saw the images all day today of Benny, walking around wearing the Lyon tracksuit. It's one of the most ridiculous sagas I've ever seen again as a West Ham fan. Absolutely mental. A mental situation that West Ham have found themselves in. And I'm just trying to see if I'm getting more stuff here now as well. So it's such a fresh story. It's so new. Everything's up in the air. The fact that he's been out there all day, I don't understand what's taken so long. I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm baffled by it. I'm baffled by the lack of organization between the clubs, but really essentially I'm baffled by the hierarchy at West Ham. I mean, I've always known the hierarchy has been a disaster, but the hierarchy at West Ham with regards to how we deal with our dealings, it's never changed, and it seems to be like it's never going to change. And through that, we're going to lose any form of momentum we've ever built. Honestly, I believe that could happen because the buck stops at the highest level you possibly can. I was saying to Russ and Holly and some of the people in the chat, like, West Ham's transfer dealings are all over the place. You would assume by having a structure in place that you would be doing your due diligence. You would have specific players lined up, ready to rock and roll and doing the dealings. Like, for example, let's look at the Osman deal, for example. Why is that being left so late? Like, and if it's not been let, but it has been left late. So, because we've only put a couple of bids in recently, like, are we trying to negotiate the deal down by 1 or 2 million quid? Want the player, get the player. It's honestly become quite a ridiculous saga, quite a ridiculous situation. If West Ham have done what I believe they have done with the Benrahma situation, i.e. failed to submit the relevant paperwork, considering that picture of Benrahma wearing the Lyon strip or the Lyon tracksuit has been out for, approximately 12 hours. That's a ridiculous situation to be in. And that's how you lose players. That's how you lose mindsets. That's how you lose a ripple effect into the squad, which is not a great effect, essentially. On the back of the West Ham game tonight, you heard them talking about the Fornals situation and and we saw clips of Fornals scrambling at the end of the game in the tunnel on his phone, stressing and looked stressed. Listen, we don't know the full ins and outs, but looked stressed. We heard the commentators asking and the journalists asking, what's the situation with the players, and Moyes saying, well, I don't really know. I don't know if the deal's been done or not. I don't know what's happening. The biggest problem is the fact that it's the lack of communication, really. Another update's coming out saying that the Olympic Lyon still hope to make it happen via an appeal to FIFA. We'll see what happens with this. It's just that some fucking mental jokes kicking about on social media. West Ham have completed the deadline day signing of Saeed Benrahma from West Ham. That is the truth. That is the truth. It's mental. It's madness, and I don't really know what West Ham are doing, to be honest. The buck stops at the top. You've got David Sullivan, who seems to be. I can't help but feel like he's still involved. I can't help but feel like he's still involved. He's still calling the shots and still dictating like a puppeteer from the top and trying to tell people how to do the jobs. And I feel honestly like he is the problem. He's always been the problem. We've always known he's been the problem. I don't know all the facts. I don't know all the facts behind this, but I'm judging it from a fan looking in from the outside. You can't help but feel like the way we conduct our business is just terrible. It's bad. It's awful, and it's never going to. It's never. We're never going to, transpire into positive news for West Ham. It's not. It's baffling, and it takes over from the moment of success. I think about the way that West Ham conduct themselves from the highest level, and then you think to yourself, right? And my biggest concern, right? This is where my real biggest concern comes in, because a lot of people focus on Moyes, but my biggest concern comes from the fact that when we believe things are going behind the scenes, building a structure, building a system, looking at something that's going to go right, I can't help but think when these people are in charge, this is never going to be normal. This is never going to be successful. This is never going to be a successful journey. I'm sounding really negative. Of course I am, but I can't help but feel like you've got an opportunity when you get given a Tim Steidten, and then suddenly you've got the ownership of David Sullivan. You get an opportunity when you get players like Kudos and Paquetá, blah, 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 and then you get David Sullivan. I can't help but feel it always falls back upon him. He seems to be heavily involved at some point, and if he's not heavily involved, which I believe he is, the team behind the transfer dealings need to take some form of responsibility for this, because the transfer outs are equally as important as the transfers in, and it's quite damning, to be honest. Lawrence is in the house. Hello, everyone from Lexington, Kentucky, USA. Hello. Richard, my brother from another mother, is in the house. Unbelievable. I was at the game tonight. We was shit. We should have lost. Chris Locke says, isn't West Ham? It's West Ham. We can't win a game or get new players. Well, we can, because we've just re-signed, apparently, Benrahma. What a ridiculous situation on that. And I don't know. I don't know what West Ham are trying to achieve by this, because there's no way they've done. I feel like I can't help but feel like they've done it on purpose. I really can't help it. Unprofessional from Troj. It is. Who's at fault? The person. Who is it? I don't know. That's the problem. This is a show about me just ranting, I suppose you could say, about the whole situation, because essentially it's, to me, it's got to, well, do you know what? Essentially, it falls on the top person. It's got to. If you've not got your house in order and you're making these regular mistakes, then so be it. If we've built a structure of transfer system and a sporting director and a technical director and scouting systems that go all over the world that look at players, I understand it's been a very, very quiet window for most players, but we have an opportunity, and that's what's the stressful thing as a West Ham fan. It's the opportunity to push from where we are to the next stage. Tonight was an example of how lacking in squad depth we are, even with Benrahma and Fornals in that setup. really, really lacking in those areas. And if the deal does fall through for Benrahma, I've never wanted a player to be so successful in my life. I've never wanted to, and worst case scenario, it could be the rocket up his arse that he needs to come in and prove his and prove his worth. Right, I've got a guest. I've got a guest, and he's not been on for a little cheeky while, so let's bring him on. Richie boy, all the way from, I was going to say South Africa, but he's not. Do you want to know where he is, everyone? He's in Canada. He is in Canada. Rich, mate, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, thanks, and you, mate. It's great to be back on. How you doing?
Yeah. Well, listen, mate. I mean,
Madness.
we talk regularly in the chat anyway, don't we? So, the news breaking tonight after the West Ham game is that West Ham have not submitted the relevant paperwork, and the deal for Benrahma to go to Lyon is looking likely that it could be off. Lyon apparently are going to appeal it to FIFA. What I find really interesting, Rich, is this picture came around about midday today. He's been walking around France with his Lyon tracksuit on. So surely all the paperwork, there's 12 hours to get the paperwork done. And you can't blame 3 hours of game match day preparation for this not to go through. I can't help but feel like it's sabotage. Yeah. I don't know what you think, Rich.
Yeah, there's something very strange that's obviously happened because, as you said, he's been there. We were seeing pictures coming through on Twitter throughout the day of him in his tracksuit and what looks like the training ground. And as you said, he's had so much time. The clubs have had so much time to get the deal done. For it to suddenly collapse after this game, there's just something really sinister about the whole thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we've kind of just pulled the plug at the last minute because we kind of know we can't afford to let Pablo and Benny go and get no one else in. So it's got West Ham and Sullivan written all over this. There's something very weird happening.
It's an extremely odd situation now. Well, do you know what? I feel like it's an extremely odd situation, but let's really not beat about the bush here. This is very typical of West Ham because we conduct ourselves in a manner that leads to things like this. We can rewind quite a lot, but there's always one scenario I rewind to, and it's the potential signing of the Portuguese midfielder
Carvalho,
and we submitted the email, and the club at the time, I think Sporting Lisbon, released the email that David Sullivan had sent, and it was one of the most ridiculous offers or on the table or whatever. At the time, and we seem to have a long history of this. But Rich, what I don't understand is you've got Sullivan, then you've got the whole system, sports technical director, scouting systems, David Moyes saying in the press conference, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. You know, where does the buck lie with things like this? Taking into consideration, if not Benrahma goes, if not Fornals goes, the fact it's the window's done and it's gone and we're doing all this stuff on fucking match day.
Yeah, it's a shambles. I just don't understand how they don't speak to each other. It seems like there's a massive disconnect between Stuyton and Sullivan and Moyes. I mean, the fact that Moyes wasn't even sure if Pablo and Benny were going in his interview after the game just shows that there's just no communication happening between all the relevant parties at West Ham. And we've had so much time. Yet again, we knew, that potentially Benny was going to be on his way out. There were a lot of clubs interested in him. Pablo, the same thing. Again, we've had time to line up someone to come in. I get that Benrahma and Fornals are not bringing in a huge amount of money. It would have been great if we could have got like 20 million up front for Benrahma and 10 or 15 million up front for Fornals. But the fact that it's got to a stage on the final day of the season, on match day, final day of the window, where we are potentially letting two players that have played out wide go with absolutely no one lined up to come in, is an absolute shambles for a top 6 Premier League club. I just don't know how it happens, and it seems to happen every single window. And I honestly don't know where the blame lies, because has Moyes gone to Sullivan and said, these are the players that I want? I think he's got Phillips in. But then again, there's a disconnect between Steidten and Moyes on, we have to get a wide player in, and they've got to deliver that news to Sullivan. So I'm not too sure where the breakdown in communications happened and who to blame, but it's just a really, really embarrassing day yet again for West Ham in the transfer market.
So according to all the ITKs right now, this is the statement that West Ham have released. Now, I can't see it officially anywhere, but it's coming out from Darmish. It's coming out from all the relevant people who are doing it and saying Roshane Thomas from The Athletic as well. The statement is that West Ham can confirm on the deadline day deal for Saïd Benrahma to join Olympique Lyonnais was not concluded ahead of the deadline, with a deal unable to be completed before 11 p.m. So, West Ham putting themselves out there with this statement feels like we are literally committing to him not going.
Crazy.
Let me have a look here. It's been briefed by the club to their journalists that it's not done for Benny Roshane. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, so everyone's coming out saying, "Listen, the deal's not done, and it's not happening." I don't know, Rich. I don't know what to think of it. I've come to expect it.
Yeah,
but I was having some level of hope that this calamitous dealings were going to eventually fade away. But every time there's hope, I get reminded that we have a calamitous owner that I'll never back away from. I'll never let down. I'll go at as much as I possibly can. And I can't help but feel like it's just his little glittering mindset of how he does business and thinks that this is okay. Because let's push the football thing aside. How crap is that for Benrahma?
It's awful. I mean, he's not going to want to come back and play football for West Ham. Surely he must be properly disgruntled. I mean, I think there was reports saying that potentially his family had gone over with him already. I mean, it's a massive slap in the face for him as well. I can tell you now, he's not going to be chuffed coming back into training when he does have to. We could have a player completely disgruntled, potentially refusing to play again. It's a huge slap in the face for professional to get told you're off. You've gone to another country, you've taken your family with you potentially, and then at the very last second, it's come down to West Ham not submitting something correctly, or I'd be fuming if I was Benrahma. Yeah, it's a shambles, absolute shambles.
I mean, there's more stuff coming out from the La Liga website, which is Pablo Fornals is currently listed as transfer provisional validation via La Liga, which basically means that deal could fall through as well. There is 4 validations from La Liga's website that involves 2 of the deals from going to Real Betis and 2 of the deals going to Granada. And Pablo Fornals is also one of those players. So, here we go. Olympique Lyonnais have said Olympique Lyonnais deeply regrets the failure of the transfer of Saïd Benrahma for reasons beyond its control and questions the behaviour of West Ham, which did not succeed in finalising the required administrative procedures despite all the agreements concluded. This is going to grow arms and legs, Rich, and is going to not be a good outcome for, unfortunately, West Ham. But it's going
to affect our transfer dealings going forward as well, because clubs are going to see this now.
To be honest with you, it probably fucking has and always has done.
Yeah, that's true, actually. But I mean, it just doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. It's embarrassing. And Lyon must be properly pissed off, and rightly so.
Off, mate. You're pissed off. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at the fact. I'm pissed off at the fact that it's a funny one because selfishly we need a body. Selfishly, West Ham need a body, right?
Yeah.
But equally, you don't need a body of a player who we feel's been lacking in substance for a while. And equally, you don't want a body in the team that is not potentially could down tools, who, all that sort of stuff. And equally, then you've got the humane part of it, which is protecting the player's well-being and care for what he's doing and offer him an opportunity to go and build a career elsewhere. And Lyon, there's obviously always two sides to the story, and this is all hearsay, what we're saying, but you can't help but feel like West Ham have scuppered this. Someone at West Ham have scuppered this, Rich, and have are maybe thinking, oh, this will benefit West Ham, but in actual fact, it fucking won't. It will do us.
Do you think
worse.
West Ham were waiting for potentially a player to come in and hoping that something was going to happen today, and it hasn't, and that's why they've kind of prolonged the whole Benrahma deal going through? Because I was convinced we were going to get Osman a couple of days ago, and then it doesn't look too bad if Benrahma goes out the door. But the fact that it's been left so late, potentially there was someone lined up that just fell through. I mean, it's difficult to say, but
I think I don't. What I don't understand is why we leave things so late in the window. Like I've always said, regarding many clubs. Oh, I wish I could. I'm going to try and see if I can. How do I? Is there a way to make this English? Oh, hold on a minute. I think I've got the statement from Lyon. Oh, it doesn't exist. Oh no, it's gone. I had it all there lined up for everyone to read, but it seems to have been. Is it gone from their website? Let me just give me 2 seconds, Rich. This is just what happens when it's live, isn't it? It's just trying to get you the news.
No worries,
I think they've pulled it off their site.
Let me see what I can find. Yeah.
No, Lyon just had it on their site, and it looks like they may have just pulled it off their site. Oh, here we are. And hold on, I might find it again.
I've got something for you.
I think I found it.
Yep.
I know.
I'll send it to you anyway.
Yeah.
In case.
The point I was trying to make was I am concerned. You hear rumours about Steidten being linked to Liverpool. I can't help that. I'm a very positive West Ham fan. If you watch the channel and you hear me chat and here, there, and everywhere, but equally though, when it comes to the ownership, I've always got the back feeling like that knee jerk, that reaction to go. It doesn't matter whatever we've got, whoever we bring in, as long as those guys up top are there, they'll find a way of ruining it. And I can't help but feel like this is a part of that process. Like these dealings will lead to people like Steidten, people like Noble speaking out loud, and essentially David Moyes turning around and going, look what you left me with. Because if we're led to believe that the structure, Moyes is the manager of the players, Steidten, Noble are technical directors, sporting directors in charge of recruitment with Rob Newman, and David Sullivan signs them all off. So who the fuck do you blame? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I wish I knew what was happening behind the scenes. Sorry, it's very loud in the background.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Let me read to you exactly what Lyon said from their released statement. Olympique Lyon deeply regrets this situation and decision, demonstrating a deep lack of respect on the part of West Ham for the institution and the player. The club reserves the right to initiate all appropriate procedures necessary to validate the operation later and to hold West Ham accountable if necessary. Holy shit, this is going to go off in a big one, isn't it? Olympique Lyon was delighted to welcome Saïd Benrahma to Lyon this Thursday to finalise his transfer from West Ham. The two clubs had signed a temporary transfer agreement, and Olympique Lyon had obtained the approval from the DNCG to allow the transfer to take place in a fluid and transparent manner. However, in the early evening, when Olympique Lyonnais had entered all administrative data on FIFA's dedicated platform, West Ham had never launched any technical procedure on its part. That is madness.
That is so dirty.
And despite Lyonnais' repeated reminders and continuous mutual telephone communication, in the absence of the action of the part of the English club and following the incomprehensible behaviour, raising questions, the international transfer certificate could not be requested before closing time.
Shambles.
Absolutely shambles. Absolutely, yeah, really is.
Embarrassing.
It really is. And then obviously on top of that, we're still waiting to hear what's happening with with Pablo Fornals. I take it you've seen the images of him at the London Stadium.
Yeah. I think it was there just saying his goodbyes.
Yep. And he's running around frantic as if like is the deal actually happening? And to be honest with you, like I said, I've read to you now, it looks like that one, if Jacob Steinberg has just released saying remains unclear if Fornals to Real Betis has gone through. I mean, he's got the direct line to David Sullivan.
If we've done Lyon dirty for Benrahma, there's a good chance we could have done Betis dirty as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so. Let's jump into the comments, Rich, and see what everyone is saying. John says we got rid of Kira, but no centre back. We West Ham has always been like that, trying to something. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Marie says, so if Benny and hopefully Pab are staying, surely we get behind them massively. I'm actually glad. I don't think there'll be any doubts whatsoever, right? That now, in the weirdest possible manner, Rich, this could play into the hands of the players, play into the hands of the fans, and play into the hands of the right people. I don't doubt for a second anyone will go against Benrahma and Pablo. If these deals don't go through and they turn up and do what they're asked to do, I doubt highly that West Ham fans would be against them.
Absolutely, mate. We need numbers. We need bodies, as you're saying. I mean, today, for example, we could have really used Benrahma or Fornals. I mean, you look at that midfield that we put out today, it was embarrassing. And to be honest with you, the game was crying out for a Benrahma for the last 20 minutes just to run at them. Fornals as well. At the end of the day, it's extra bodies. When you don't bring in any bodies in a transfer window, yes, you brought in Phillips, but we haven't brought in anyone else. When you haven't brought players in, you can't afford to just let players go, especially players that like Benrahma, who's played quite a bit. Fornals not as much, but we need bodies. So if it is the case that both deals don't go through, I think all West Ham fans will be completely behind them. It wasn't their choice to go. I think Pablo and Benny probably weren't getting as much game time, and West Ham fans could understand why they'd want to potentially leave. But if they stay on, there's no reason for me why West Ham fans wouldn't get completely behind both players.
Richard XLD, nothing to do with Moyes then. I honestly believe this wouldn't be to do with Moyes, if I'm being brutally honest with you. I think there's a time and a place where you can blame David Moyes. So you can blame Moyes in the team for the performance tonight. No question. You can't blame anyone else for that. The decisions tactically and the decisions to play the players and whatever. And then you blame the players for the lack of energy and the lack of enthusiasm and the lack of drive to win the ball or do the things they have to do in the park. But what you can't blame David Moyes for is Benrahma's deal collapsing. You can't. As much as you want to, you simply can't. So
I don't think Moyes has a clue what's going on, to be honest.
Yeah. And that also concerns me, is because it seems to be the disconnect seems to have. I think when we all thought that was gone, maybe it's not. And do you know what, Rich? There was signs. There still has been signs. There's always been signs, and the signs were, David Sullivan speaking out the day after West Ham win the European Cup. Declan Rice is going to be leaving the club. We've tried everything to sign him. Shut the fucking conversation down. We know he's going, but you don't need to fucking highlight it. Shut the conversation down and let us enjoy a couple of days of chilled out, feeling the vibes. But you had to just go on and open your motor mouth and say the shit you say, because he can't help himself, because he thinks he's doing the right thing, because he thinks he's saying what the fans want to hear, because he thinks he's doing the right thing, and he's never doing the right thing. He's never doing the right thing.
No, he doesn't run the club like an owner should run the club. And he just does things that and every time it's not surprising, because we've seen this over and over again. That's why, I'm not surprised by this at all. This happens every single year. That it's something different. So it's crazy, but it's not surprising.
Yep. It's never Moyes. Feels like sabotage from Troz. Sounds like we've told the deal as we couldn't get a replacement in time. Possibly JWP in the wing. Sing it with me. We can't be started on that. We can't even talk about that in a minute. We'll come on to that in a second, actually, Rich, with you. Who does the tactics and formations? I wonder. Well, we spoke about that, obviously, haven't we? I heard that Benny wanted a payoff to leave. Matt, listen, we oh, hold on a minute. What's this here? Update 2. Pablo Fornals has had his transfer registered to Real Betis, but the moment for the transfer to be approved, the correct evidence as of 20 minutes ago has not been submitted yet.
Oh. What is going on?
Oh, my days. A transfer system which Moyes signs off on. Oh, Richard, come on, mate. Come on. We'll never be a serious club until Sullivan is here. You're right. There are some very clever people at West Ham. I think we forgot to put the paperwork because we didn't get the deal through was coming in. There's 2 ways to look at that comment, though. Do our deals, do our incomings earlier than what we than waiting to the last day. That simple as that.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's an excuse for not bringing anyone in this window when we desperately need it. And there was never an excuse a couple of seasons ago when we had the chance to progress and bring people in. There was not an excuse in the season we moved from Upton Park to London Stadium to not bring people in, and we didn't do it properly. I'm not leaving. FIFA could give us a transfer ban over this. I don't know if they could, to be honest. I think West Ham could play. They could probably play the game at this. Rich, they could blame an admin error of some sort, or I can't see how we could get a transfer ban over that.
The excuses will come out.
Yeah, they will. Benny changed his mind after watching the game. Could bite us in the arse if we've played silly buggers. Has Pablo definitely gone? Does anyone know? We don't, and he hasn't yet officially. No. Lack of class. I wonder who to blame. Good sideshow to avoid talking about the game tonight. Absolutely. Smacks of dithering. Dave Sullivan, you are right. Where are we? God, there's so many comments, Rich. Treating players disrespectfully could demotivate the whole squad. Chris Locke says to new players, Benny and Fornals. I've seen a comment already saying West Ham have made a late signing of Saeed Benrahma, who they've signed from West Ham. It's fucking the most ridiculous thing ever, isn't it? Breakdown in communication or just pleading ignorance. It's not me. Should have just took the 13-15 million we got offered from last week. Moyes out and Sully out. All our problems solved. The Magic Roundabout is back in town. Troz agree. We cannot disrespect players like that. I didn't blame Moyes for falling through. He was preparing for the game. It said it's above him. This is Sullivan's prints all over it. Spot on, Richard. Benny won't come back and play. We have JWP in the wing now. It's all sorted, mate. There you go. There's our answer. Budgie's in the house. Good to see you. What a terrible transfer window. I mean, how many transfer windows are terrible, Rich? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. No, time and time again. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But we've learned, haven't we? And we don't really expect much, do we? Because we get disappointed a lot.
You could say that again. I'm just going to jump through some of the comments here. Free Benrahma, Stein won't stay with this circus. Oi, oi, happy. Hope you're well. Where's a left-sided player? This surely puts a black mark against Stein for the Liverpool job. Another admin error. I'm a wee bit drunk. What's going on? Benny is gone. No, he's not. The club's a shambles, but Tim is in charge of transfers. Again, I'm looking for a little bit of communicative situation, like what's actually happening, who the structure. Like nobody really knows the structure at all, really. We hear people are brought in, people are doing this. There's a committee of some sort, but who is in charge of what and who's doing what? And unfortunately, that's where it becomes the circus. Today we could have used our left winger who has scored an assist in the last 2 games, Corny, yet he got 3 minutes. Yes, exactly. That's the stuff you can blame on. Add Lyon to the list of clubs who won't do business with us in the near future. Absolutely. Listen, there's no love lost between the 2 clubs
That's
anyway.
Right. We got Paqueta and Emerson.
Well, I was going to say, and we knocked them out of the Europa League a couple of years ago, and there was, so there's no love lost there. Absolutely not. Just pay up Benny's contract. Do you think we'll have a summer clear out? I think we've got no choice but to have a summer clear out. I think there's going to be some massive transitionings happening at West Ham over the coming years. Happy Amaret says, we've had 32 days. How can it go down to the wire? Your question is good as ours. Rich, stay online. We're going to come off. Stay online. I want to quickly chat to you about something. Short and sweet. There's your update. Apparently, the breakdown of Saeed Benrahma to Lyon is off unless they sanction a complaint against FIFA against West Ham. But I don't think we've heard the last of this. I think this is going to be an ongoing saga for the next day or so. Obviously, we're still waiting to hear what's happening with the Benrahma situation, but either way, it's a little bit ridiculous in terms of what is actually going on. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take it easy, and of course, come on, you Irons.